Okay. All right, we're live. Let me share my screen here. Make sure I share TradingView. You guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all good? Okay. So for those of you unfortunate listeners today, no, I'm just kidding. But I am I'll do my best. I've been sick for like the last week and a half. So today's probably like my first day in a week and a half. I've actually been able to speak somewhat decently. So I apologize for being away. But yeah, my streams wouldn't have been very enjoyable. So today, I mean, I'll kind of focus on whatever you guys want to focus on. But I figured that Bitcoin's probably at the top of the that's something that we're always going to cover. So I'll start there, but if we want to cover anything else after this, we can cover. Oh wow, Litecoin's doing good. That's a good sign. A good sign because I hold quite a bit of Litecoin. That's the only reason it's a good sign. But
Yeah, I literally missed my 10% of life.
it's good to see. Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of like give an update from the last few streams and talk about if I think anything's changed. I feel like we had a couple really good streams to start the year off, get everything kind of set up. And for me, nothing's really changed. In the sense of like kind of like what I think trajectory could look like and timing, everything seems to be still aligning pretty well. We're about today's the monthly close. Is it monthly close?
Tomorrow should be.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Yeah, tomorrow. Is a monthly close. That's a big day. That'll be a really big day. Because you'll have your new monthly pivots, et cetera. Like I think February is going to be a really interesting month in the sense of like if the timing kind of aligns. And by the way, I don't know if like how much I want to go into it, but if you remember after I stopped recording our last stream, I was talking about this red line as just like an interesting date to kind of keep tabs on. I don't know how much I want. It might take me a while to explain that. But anyway, this level is not an official. It's not like a Fibonacci level or anything, but it would be around February 10th. It's a region of interest that like me personally, I want to see kind of what's going on around then to see if it's something that I should be paying attention to or not. And it's more about, you can kind of see what this date has in relation to like why this date's here. But as we kind of get closer to it, if I think it's relevant, I'll definitely share. For those of you who are in chat right now, that you probably remember what I was speaking about and kind of what my thoughts were around that. But the more important date, the fib date that we're all waiting for is early March. It's early March. And I do think that this is going to be, I've said now that I think there's a really good chance that if the high isn't in already, which I honestly think we're about to make new highs again. This looks really good. Trend line's holding up extremely well though. If you guys remember me having this trend line here, like this damn thing, oh my goodness, like extremely well so far. And this is going back to this top. So this connects the 2017 2018 top with our last cycle top. So it's these two actual tops, and you can see the rate of change puts it through some of these highs here the first time around, but the actual all-time high of last cycle is 69K is, that's where you intersect it. And then it gives you like two perfect tests here. So this is, we talked about this. This line is kind of what I talked about. Kind of like this green, bullshit line, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's kind of like what my thoughts are, like what I think could happen as we come into this region. Bitcoin still looks fine. It's very much range bound. It looks decent. I do think February is shaping up. I think February is shaping up to be a decent month as well. At least I hope so. And as far as the early March goes, I don't know if this date will like perfectly nail it or anything like that. But this is about the window of time that I would be very, very, very careful. And it's definitely something that we're still a ways away. I mean, we're literally a full month plus, we're 5 weeks away from, coming into this Fibonacci time. So there's still a lot of things that can happen. This could be massively wrong, right? We could have already topped, which there's like part of me that like, there's part of me that like, I don't think that we've topped yet. If I see a pullback from here, I definitely think that would be a massive buying opportunity. I don't think that we've topped. I think that things look good. I think that we're tracking to, this is kind of, again, what my thought is. But we're still 5 weeks away from coming into this point. If we come into this point, if we kind of come into this point on a similar trajectory, I will be paying really, really, really close attention. And these are just region, this is kind of like a region of interest in terms of, trying to nail like specific areas where I might be more cautious in. And I would say like this red zone, but it's really like this. And I know this is a huge kind of like window here, but this is like also putting in kind of like looking around your late October area where I'd be like kind of like be a little bit cautious around this point. This might actually look better on a weekly. Second here. Maybe a little bit easier to follow so you can see kind of where we've come from, right? But yeah, I think things look okay. I think things look fine. I would just be really cautious in you start to get into this region. Like the 118 really sticking out to me. You have your R1, your first, this is like your R1 yearly pivot here at 121, or your yearly pivot at 80. So these are kind of like the two levels of we get anywhere near these, I'll be very interested in what's happening at that time. But it's really, even up until 123, 120, it's kind of hard as far as like trying to pick a specific level where I would, say that there's a likelihood of a significant high getting put in. I just think it's somewhere in this region. And I know it's a big region. It's not very helpful. But what specifically I'm looking for is this pattern. And this is really similar to a lot of patterns that you'll see, things making their new all-time highs and, like putting in really significant highs. Again, like the one that I used to explain this was Rose from last cycle, which we all traded at and literally nailed the high. And like, I'm not saying that's definitely not going to work every time, but it was a high probability trade in the sense of like the meaning of this trend line. And if you get above it, you do not want to see it come back below it. That's deviation. Above this trend line, you get acceptance back below, and then you'd be looking for a real significant pullback at that point. Like I would be willing. I will be trading that. But that's kind of like something like this. I could see a really significant pullback, and if it happens to line up with early March, even better. Like then for me, that would be a ton of confluence. I'd feel really good about that and go from there. But I mean, again, we're 5 weeks out. Anything can happen. We could dump hard from here, and then like we could have some scenario where we actually pull back. Now, I don't think this is as likely, but we have like a real significant pullback between now and then maybe this date ends up meaning we make a bottom at that time. I don't think that's very likely. But it certainly could. And the thing I want to remind everybody is that Fibonacci time does not predict price. It doesn't predict direction. It predicts time. That's it. It's direction neutral. It's not. So that's like the main thing I want everybody to remember. and understand if you haven't studied Fibonacci time at all, it does not predict price, like the trend of up or down. It just predicts time. So like as I've shown before, like why these dates have mattered, and like what's happened as we come into certain periods. And the date that I'm really which I think I have both of these aligned, or both of these on right now. Yeah. So this 1-to-1 here at the end of October, this is kind of like the region where, and it really is looking that way so far. I know people are like calling for, I mean, they were calling for this last year or last cycle too, if you remember, a super cycle, right? That was supposed to be super cycle last cycle. But now we're calling for it again. Extended cycle, and you know what? Maybe it does. I don't really care. Let's go to 0. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Alts are already zero, right? Like you watch how they behave. Oh my god, like it is pretty, and I think like part of that is, I mean, I know, I saw a graphic a few days ago that a friend shared. I saw it on social media, and they're like, take, I don't know, you might remember the number offhand, but it was like 1 million new tokens being created every day or week or something like, or I don't know what it is. It's all like the pump fund tokens on Sol, but it's just like we've never seen new tokens come on the market like we have, right? And they're all like 99.9% of them are just pure trash that go away after a couple of days, like literally pump fund, right? I mean, it's a few hours nowadays. But hold on 1 second. But yeah, I just think, last cycle there were a lot of altcoins that were being created as well. Nowhere near what we're seeing today, but there was still a lot of new alts being created, which, sucks liquidity away from other things. And then you had 2 cycles ago, which there was a lot less, the obviously the funds that were, at play were in a lot more concentrated basket than they are certainly today. So I'm not that surprised to see a ton of weakness with all of the, the older alts that like people forgot, people forgotten about. I'll give you a million examples of that. But at certain points they still have their moves. They still have they still have nice trending moves sometimes, but you look at where the levels that they're having these moves off of, and some of them are like their all-time low. They're like bear market lows. They're like breaking those on stuff. It's crazy to see that. But with the majors, aside for Ethereum, oh my god, if you hold ETH, I feel sorry for you. I'm one of those people. Just like severely underperforming. I have very not nice things to say about ETH right now. And yeah, it's ETH very, very weak. Will it turn, will it have its moment where it flips the switch and has one of like those classic ETH takes the reins, maybe. But if anything's doing that, it would be Sol, right? Like, oh man. So anyway, this is kind of like, if I see something like this, I would be pretty confident in saying that this is a really significant high that gets put in. But it might not necessarily be the high, which I think you would get something similar to this. Will it play out exactly like this? Probably not. I don't think the pullback, I don't think we're gonna, I don't think if we do put in a similar high, which the reason why we even bring this up is it's looking really similar. I would say the timing, if you look at kind of like the dates of when this is happening, I don't think the time, I think that if we get anything like this, it's going to be slightly earlier this time. But I don't think we get a 56% retracement. Could we? Certainly. I don't think we go as deep as we did this one. And I doubt you're going to get some replica of this, some perfect fractal of this. But it kind of gives you an idea. And this is very similar to what I think could happen. I just don't necessarily think it's going to follow it to a T, right? Rarely does. But I would think, you know, kind of like, again, your first sign of weakness, I would say, if we do break this trend line to the upside, which, by the way, again, this trend line has been really good. So if you're into scalping, I don't think this is a bad level to scalp off of, especially if you get something similar to this, where like we're obviously on a weekly, but you see that we basically took out this high into the trend line though, and got a really nice reversal off of that. If you're scalping low time frames, I mean, you're like, it doesn't look like much here, but you're talking like 109K all the way down to, you know, 99K, 100K, and this is like in a very short amount of time. Can you scalp that? Absolutely. It's a great scalp, right? So I would be, you know, if you're trading low time frames, I would be cautious. Like if we make another approach up into this trend line, especially if we do something where we SFP like last week's high into the new month or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like there could be some really nice low time frame trading happening around here as well. Maybe we come up, make a slightly new high again, and then get another pullback. We kind of SFP that, which if you remember, like ETH was doing that last cycle quite a bit, right? It would make a slightly new high and then it would nuke. It would make a slightly new high and it would pull back again. So we could be getting kind of something similar here. Low time frame trading, amazing conditions for that. But in terms of like the stuff that most people probably care about, I would wait for a clean break of this, and then this kind of like, then this starts to come into play. I want to see a clean break. I want to see some time spent above, you know, some time spent above, you know, this old trend line, enough to warrant like a decent deviation to give us this kind of a setup. Then I think that's a massive short if that's given. Or, you know, certainly not a bad area to look at taking profits. From here, you know, who knows? I don't want to like cross this bridge when we get here, because really like the downside, you can see that I just took the easy route and took it to the around 80K yearly pivot. And like this level does make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons on why, like, I do think it would be somewhere in this neighborhood. But until you see, like, until you get that confirmed high and you're pretty certain that that's the high that you need to measure off of, you can't really do any fib retracements or anything like that to get kind of a pullback target until that happens, right? Until you get your high. Until then, you're just being on the lookout for it. And who knows, like we could just go right through this. This is just an area of you know, this is an area of interest. I'm not gonna like literally come here, and I mean it's unlikely anyway. I'm not gonna come here and like be ready to hit, you know, market sell as soon as I see this happen. This is definitely an area where I will be watching very closely though, because again we could just kind of we could go, which I think that this wouldn't be as good, by the way. You know, if we kind of like, if we just had a really parabolic move after this, so say we break this trend line, we have a really parabolic move, maybe even going into March, that I would be really concerned about that, actually. So like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's still a ton of time, but there's a few different scenarios. I mean, I'm not going to have 8,000 lines on here. This is the one that I think we're kind of tracking towards right now. And looking at previous Fibonacci time, looking at current Fibonacci time, seeing kind of how things have lined up, we were looking really similar to last cycle, like very similar. So I think that this seems to be the more likely play for myself, something that I'm watching. But if this changes and, you know, we have like a really big parabolic move or something like that, to me, that would be a little scarier. Yeah, just in the sense of, you know, parabolic moves, they're not sustainable, right? But we'll have to see. That's not always true, I guess, but I would say it's true most of the time. It's not like, I'd rather see continuous structured moves like this. I mean, yeah, like here you have a nice move, quite a bit of time spent building base, another nice move, a lot of time. It was like 8 months of sideways, and then you break it, another nice move, and we have another few months of sideways. Like we're building bases the whole way up so far. I'm like, this is a pretty crazy move, but it's very like we're stopping for air every once in a while gathering ourselves, building floors, and then moving again. Like that is very constructive. That's very bullish. What you don't want to see is, this kind of move. And again, you see that we're building a floor. You see, a crazy parabolic move that happens in like a very, very short amount of time. And then we just give up a significant amount of those. Like that's when you see serious highs get put in, right? So anyways, anybody have any questions about this? I just kind of wanted to like give a little bit of an update. And again, like I would say that for me, nothing's changed. And the good news for me is nothing's changed. This is like what I've gone over. At the beginning of the year, like, I still feel the same way. We're on track to follow, or we're on track. So, I say like we're very constructive here. It's been relatively boring though. I don't know how many of you have been trading Bitcoin, but it's like this is kind of it's not that much fun to talk about. But I do think if we get some, get a really good setup like this, then let's see what happens.
I'm kind of out of trading over the last couple of days, week actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some really good trades. Don't get me wrong, but for the most part, if you're like a higher time frame, if you're like a swing trader, higher, you're waiting for your targets to get hit, whatever. I mean, yeah, it's probably a little slower than usual. But overall, yeah, I mean, not a whole lot at all. Like nothing's really changed for me in terms of what my thoughts are. And again, we'll be updating this year as we go along. If anything changes or deviates from that, you guys will definitely hear about it. But for now, it still looks pretty good. So now I'm a little warmed up. So what now, like, you guys want to look at something in particular? Do you guys want to like go on lower time frames? Like honestly, I would have done that if I thought there was something interesting going on lower time frames. Like for me, we're still range bound. I'm not really trading lower time frames myself very much. Part of the reason because I've been basically out of commission for a little bit now. But that's not to say I won't be. I do think again with monthly close happening tomorrow, I think that there might be some this might actually be a pretty decent trading weekend even maybe. Who knows? But I think tomorrow should be pretty good. Definitely, I would say Monday, Tuesday next week, I'd be paying attention. I mean, there might be some really good lower time frame stuff then.
I mean, if you could better fast tomorrow after the monthly close.
Yeah, like later. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it'll be the middle of the night. So.
Yeah. I don't necessarily expect anything to happen. Maybe like immediately. I think it's more Friday positioning, like going into the end of that. Like tomorrow itself should be pretty good. If there's anything like absolutely crazy going on tomorrow, like we can probably do another jump on in the middle of the day tomorrow, but I would just be paying attention to that. Man, I don't know what to cover next. This is like spur of the moment. Dave asked me if I'm still alive, so I wanted to jump on here and do a stream, and I had absolutely nothing planned. So it's kind of whatever you guys want to look at.
You did mention Litecoin. I'll go for it. No, okay, a little bit.
So I've been trading Fartcoin for the first time, by the way.
Oh my god!
I probably should have been trading this. I mean, Ting knows. We talk about this kind of often, but like this is one I probably should have been trading a while ago. Absolutely crazy moves. I might cover it. I'm long Fartcoin, and I'm long. One that I actually would talk about is WIF, and this is the first time that I'm trading WIF. I remember I looked at WIF when it first came out, and didn't really think much of it in terms of like trading. I wasn't really trying to trade WIF at all. And then, I mean, I can't believe it's over a year old now. But I actually looked at the chart and took my first WIF long yesterday. And I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday or was it the night before? I don't know. All these, everything blends in together, but I think it was yesterday. I don't know. I'd have to go back to our chat thing, whatever I said. But anyway, this one I think we might cover. It's kind of interesting. It's at a really extreme level. That I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, we can take a look at Litecoin. First of all, this is like, so this is the Bitcoin pairing. This is Litecoin Bitcoin. Which, by the way, oh man, I wish I could find. Where's my old? There, Dave. Do you remember this old school one? I did this last cycle. It was like 2020. Remember? It was just really this one. This might have been Telegram days. This might be pre. This might be pre-YouTube days.
I think it was.
But anyway, this is probably really bad considering what happened yesterday here. But it's like, you know, you have a lift off, hits its top, and then it's just fully over, right? Hits the mountain, like dead. And then and this was really early that we were looking at, because I remember somebody asked me like, what do you think of Litecoin Bitcoin? And I was like, you want to know what I think about Litecoin Bitcoin? Let me chart it out for you. And that's all I did. And I will say now, I'm kind of curious now. I think it looks a lot better. I mean, this still looks awful, don't get me wrong. But I do think that I don't know, I think this thing legitimately finally found the floor. I would say that this is very likely I think that we found a pretty good area for this thing to bottom out. The funny thing is, I actually would pay a lot of attention to this. Kind of looking at this accidentally. Yeah, until the next bear market. No, you're exactly right, Dave. Like I think, yeah, this is like I would say that this is a good bottoming area for now. It might not be applicable in a year or you know whatever the next end is. But I do think for now this actually is a really good area to kind of keep an eye on. I want to go through like some higher. See, this is range bound. So again, this to me is good to see. You know, clearly we're range bound. You worked up here pretty good, but yeah, like this kind of price action, this is good in terms of you know the trend is this is trendless. There's no trend. We're range bound. Good to see for like you're looking for you know stuff that have bottomed out or topped or whatever. Like this is kind of like what you want to see to a degree. Long-term cloud, like long-term. You're talking years at this point, almost 2 years that this thing has been bearish, and now you're finally again seeing you know range get put in. The trend is over. The bearish trend is over. And now you're seeing cloud flip bullish. A lot of noise right here, but again, I think it's the message that this is saying that the downside never-ending pain train is probably over for now. And this is probably going to take a bit, you know, you're going to have to get price away from this. This is not, this ultimately, this isn't very helpful. Here, it's just range bound, but again, it's like, you're seeing things flip, right? So I'm like, this is 2-day. 3-day, you're in cloud. Cloud's really thin, which kind of the same thing, right? You had here bearish, geez, just like, like just pain, right? But again, you're in cloud, transitioning. Cloud's really thin. Excuse me. Like this is things turning around. Look at a 5-day. Yep. Like again, kind of like same thing. So like 5 days is gonna give you the earliest, cleanest edge to edge that there is right now. This again, this looks pretty good. Like in terms of like I gotta like revert back to bear market thinking before things pop off, right? And this is the kind of setups that I like to see in times like that, right? So you gotta go like this is like you're going back to like 2023 and channeling your inner, trying to like flip the script here. And this is again Litecoin, Bitcoin. I do think that like this is the kind of shit I like to see. When you want to see, simply put, you want to see price get inside cloud, and you want to see this start to hold. That would be huge for Litecoin if it could do that. And yet, remember, this is a measure of Litecoin's performance in relation to Bitcoin. This has nothing to do with USD. If Bitcoin's up 100% and Litecoin's up, Litecoin's up 100%, the same amount, and you're flat, like, but it doesn't mean Litecoin stayed at 127 bucks. You're going to be higher. You know what I mean? This is just literally comparing Litecoin to Bitcoin. But if Litecoin gives you a nice signal here, a 5-day level there. But anyway, Litecoin gets inside a cloud here. We have this pairing start to get inside a cloud. It could be a nice, a good sign for Litecoin. In terms of the USD pair is probably going to do extremely well at that point. That's my guess. So anyway, had to go to the old school. Anytime I see Litecoin, Bitcoin, I got to go to the old school chart. Like, in terms of this is a lot of this is probably like, I don't know how. The last time I actually looked at this. It wasn't that long ago. I know like we were like this is my buy zone. This is where I was buying a lot of Litecoin and this is my sell zone. I know it sounds like I'm full of shit. So I don't even really want to talk about it, but Tig knows. Like this is something that we're trading, that my friends and I are actually trading like pretty decently. Not like low time frame movements, but in terms of swings, we've done extremely well. I actually still have sells in the books that are above this level though, and I'm going to keep them. So that's one thing. Even if we do make a new high, I do think that if we push and start to make a new high here, that we can actually have a really nice move up to here. So like higher time frames, I am looking for Litecoin to come into this region, which is if you zoom out a bit. This is the what is this? The 618 from here to here is this one. The macro, like the high time frame, last cycle high to our cycle low, that puts you around 270. Okay, so these are two different golden pocket pools. The lower one is from this high to low, and this higher one is from your cycle high to cycle low. Both very relevant in my opinion. And then we kind of double topped on Litecoin. Didn't quite get up here. I have this red box of death here. I'm just gonna say there's a couple of different, like I actually like quite bullish on Litecoin. But I mean, if we make a third attempt up here, hey, we'll be selling some Litecoin here. It just will. And I'll tell you why. I do think that there's a fair chance that if we see Litecoin come up into this region again, that we actually break it and make like significantly new highs. I know that might sound crazy, and it is crazy. But considering what happened last time, and then guess what? It came all the way back down, right? Like literally all the way back down. This is kind of like a prove it zone to me. What I mean by that is like I would not mind selling Litecoin here if I'm given the chance. But if it makes a new high and establishes like that, like it's not going to do one of these where it just kind of like is in and out and then, oh, that's it. See, pack it up. See you in a few years, boys and girls. If it actually like breaks above 420, holds, puts in a nice range, and then it's like whatever that I sell here, I can just establish a new position because then I'm like, then it's like my second part of my thesis comes true. we're likely to see significantly new highs, right? But like this is just kind of like a danger zone to me. Well, it wouldn't be a danger zone because I'll have made, I'll have done extremely well if we get to that region, but it's just a region of caution, and it makes sense. It's literally been the cycle, it's been the high on Litecoin 2 cycles in a row. Like, could it do it a third time? Sure. Who knows? I've seen crazier charts. Like, but I'm just saying, I would be really careful around here. If it breaks new highs, looks good, not an SFP, like sure, and just get back in. Gonna lose a little bit in terms of like, oh, you could have just left that alone. But for me, I'd rather do that and have a measured degree of certainty that like, okay, like this thing actually is like, we're probably gonna see a lot higher. So anyway, I'll just tell you if that's happening. I wonder what else is happening, right? You see Litecoin above 420. I wonder where Bitcoin is. Like, I wonder what's going on in the rest of the crypto world. Probably good, though, is my guess. But guess what? We're a long ways away from that. Which leads me into my second. Again, I have laddered out some of my Litecoin in this region. I still have some cells above here that didn't fill on this one. And I'm leaving them alone. The main reason, to be honest, is because I kind of expected them to get hit on the first time. My gut tells me that like usually when I mark these levels off and I put cells into the order book, that I'm better if I just leave them alone. And that's just a personal thing. I'd rather, like, if I get filled there, I get filled there. And these are from, this is Litecoin I bought significantly cheaper. So if I get taken out there, I'm fine with that. But I've actually played these pretty good. I got laddered in quite a bit of what I sold up here. I got decent amount back. I had some at, what was it, 80 or 82 or something? It just missed it. 80, I think it was 82. I don't remember. I missed like a really good fill on this move down though, just barely. But I did fill quite a bit back. But anyway, I think like I think Litecoin is doing pretty well. And over again, these are like old levels. I'd have to go back and shift a few things around. This 114 is an old level, but if you watch this happen like on kind of lower time frames, it's a pretty good level to pay attention to still. This anchored VWAP has been pretty good. It's been really good. And yeah, you've had some like really crazy wicks through it. Like here in this instance, you got a really big wick through it, but this one came back down again, gave you a nice test, and then another big move. Arguably, this anchored VWAP here is extremely important. So if I were to pick one, like this one is kind of done and over with, I would say, although it's still basing out pretty good here. But I would say that this one is not really need to be kind of watched anymore. But this one has been extremely good. And that's putting you back at 98 bucks right now, which there's also a daily, lower time frame level. But there's also a daily here. So this is pretty good confluence. Anchored VWAP's gonna continue to kind of rise slowly. But if you got another rotation down, again, like these are all like old levels by this point. And I think that this yearly got tapped. Another reason why I had sells going up into this. So I don't think I updated this for whatever reason. This is gonna look really messy. Probably update this, but I didn't shift it, and this was your high. I don't know what, maybe I like put it, maybe I accidentally moved it or something. Oh, these just shifted. I don't know why I didn't update that. It's kind of irritating. But I know I looked at that. That's why that was up there. But like my red box It's you have your yearly macro value area high. Like this is just a good I'm not that surprised about this sell off. First test coming into here, you had another nice test of this red boss, pretty significant move down. Again, ultimately, like I do think Litecoin looks really good, and this type of price action doesn't really surprise me that much. I do think that if it comes down again, I think that's a pretty good buy. In this region, I wouldn't mind. I don't think it's as likely that we see some of these lower levels, which I'd buy it, me personally. But I would say like an intermediary, like low, first kind of like support area that I would watch is around here. If it rolls over again, which it's Litecoin, it certainly could. You could wake up and Litecoin could be at $80 for no reason. Why? Because it's Litecoin. That's all you need to know. But yeah, this is a pretty good level. See if I notice anything else. Value very high. This range it's getting put in. I wish I remember what I was measuring here. I think it was the high time frame signal or something. Is it a weekly? Buy signal on the buy, or was it like the bi-weekly? What the hell was I measuring? You guys remember? I think it was the bi-weekly. Yes, it is, because it's the topic here. Yeah. Because it came off of this buy signal, and then I was measuring what happened in this cycle, blah blah blah. Yeah. That's where it came from. Wow. Interesting enough. 3 days. Okay. So, wow. Wow. Okay. All right. Something really. I'm kind of glad I accidentally came here. I would say one thing to keep close eye on is where we close in 3 days and 4 hours. If we manage to close this candle inside a cloud, which this is bi-weekly, you get these every 2 weeks. It'll take a lot of time to populate. What would be a really nice change of behavior, kind of like what I would say is an early warning signal, that shit's about to pop off for Litecoin pretty good, is a closure inside of this cloud. Why? Because then you get the edge to edge, right? Edge to edge on, I truth be told, I don't have, I have zero data on edge to edge trades using 2-week time frames. I have no data on that, and some time frames are better than others. So I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you actually, and this is for these settings, this is really like the first full go that we're gonna have on Litecoin, because it's such a high time frame for crypto. And using doubled settings, this is really kind of like the first go around. But if we close inside a cloud, so right now, it's sitting at 128. 128.76 is the bottom of the cloud here. So I'd say if you close above that, you close above 130 or something like that. I mean, the top of cloud is 218. So I kind of want to go back here and see, does that line up with everything? So that puts you in kind of this region. Wow, pretty good. That's a really good confluence for me. Interesting. So if I was to overlay, so you see these levels that I have here, if I was to overlay biweekly cloud on this, the top of cloud puts you right in this region. So that's good to know. It's good to know. But yeah, it's a really big time frame. And we have 3 days, 4 hours. Come back, see where it is. If it closes inside, could be really good. Kind of the tough part about this that I don't. I'm kind of curious. When is this? April. Interesting. Like from this, like how the setup would have to be a little bit different for this, but like the bottom of the cloud is way down here. This $80. Yeah, I'll have to come back and see where this is in 3 days. I'm kind of curious where this closes. Because if this doesn't close, then, I mean, you have what could be months, another couple months of sideways, potentially, right? Like, really. Anyway, I would watch this. For you Ichimoku users, I would watch this. And keep an eye on it. Because I'll tell you, this is going to be one that's going to be really easy to lose track of. Kind of like what's happening. Especially you don't get it closed in 3 days, 4 hours, and it's literally 2 weeks out from the next one. It's going to take forever. But I do think this is worth monitoring. Sell everything. Yeah. If that happens, yeah. ETH, yeah, I don't know, man. ETH is in its own bubble right now. I'm trying to remind, like, you know what ETH kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of, like, if I did a last cycle, like how people were talking about Zcash. You know what I mean? Like, just worthless. Like, everybody hates it. It doesn't do anything. Like, it's just, that's kind of like how I feel like this cycle. Just ETH. Everybody hates ETH. Although, isn't it Trump's company buying like millions of dollars in ETH every day? Some shit like that. Um, I don't really have, like I said, I really don't have too much to say about ETH. It's been a really shitty hold. And I'm glad that I had a phenomenal sell on it. Phenomenal. 40.85. Like ingrained in my mind. Had a great sell there. But I've been buying ETH back and it's just dead. It's like this is dead money right now, which is irritating. But not really doing much. But anyway, Litecoin, we're pretty clear on that. Like how I'm playing it. I think I told you exactly how I'm playing it, basically. I would love, well, I wouldn't love it because that would be kind of messed up. But like if we did have another nuke on Litecoin, I would buy that. Like for me, not financial advice. I'm telling you, like for myself, I would buy more. I'd be okay with that. I don't necessarily think I'm gonna get that chance. And this looks really good. Like I said, if this comes up to, I have cells that's slightly above this that didn't that most of my Litecoin cells that I had on my trading plan here got filled and I did very well, very happy about that. But there were a few that got left behind that I left alone and I will leave them alone. If they fill, they fill. It is what it is. And I'll just keep looking for setups for myself. But I'm definitely playing the longer game on Litecoin more than I usually do. I'm swinging, like swing trading this. Not worried about like all this, I will say that if you're looking for something to trade lower time frames, Litecoin's a good candidate. If you're like adverse to being on Solana and not wanting to play over there, I get that because it's crazy. But like if you're looking for just an alt that has good movement and it's been around, and I'd say Litecoin's a very good candidate for that. You're getting a lot of good rotation on it. and it's definitely one worth trading lower time frames. I'm just not bothering, but it's doing enough work for me to, you know, stay vested in it and excited about it. And um yeah, so anyway, um looks fine. Still nothing. Oh, I know what I wanted to look at. I delete this just for a second so I can see a little bit better. So it's just slightly below. This is actually holding up pretty good. Your Tenkin is slightly below your Kijun. Just slightly, but I mean it's probably gonna cross. I mean it isn't. You see the forecasting dots. It is gonna cross. You're getting a buy signal again here. Which being in this range, I don't really like that much. Well, eh, eh, not the best, but it's coming from like an okay posture, I guess. Okay, not the best. But oh, this could be. I mean, I would love for this to be a sign of a nice move higher here, maybe. 3 hours. We'll see what happens. But this is decent. Get it. Cross above cloud would be good. Yeah. Like I'll tell you, Litecoin looks better than not. Definitely looks better than not. So we'll see where it closes today. But having a really good day. Problem with Litecoin is like it can have a good day and then give it all back, right? So, which is why I say like low time frame trading on this, excellent. But I'm definitely I have more higher time frame in mind. I want to go back to one thing before I forget. I'm just looking at where the TK is at on the weekly. So this right now, what is on the horizon? As long as we kind of remain in this posture, you're gonna see your 10 can break away from your Kijun. That's a good sign. I don't love when they're together like this. Like basically when your TK lines are identical, which is the case right now. But what happened? So you got the end of trend. What you're waiting for is the recross, which looks like it's gonna happen, right? And if you get the confirmed TK recross, which right now they're sitting at identical levels, if you look at it, 99 to 60, 99 to 60, literally identical levels. When you see your 10 can start to move higher and give you like the official recross, right? Those historically are very, I mean, there is nothing bearish about that at all. And if that's like you see that, that's likely the move that's going to take us out of this region. And I'm guessing, I don't know, somewhere up into this region, maybe even a little higher. It's hard to say. But you get that. Like for me, that is one of the most bullish signals that I like myself is the bullish TK recross above cloud. We're about to get it. Like it's been sitting there. It's not, you can see from the forecasting data, it's likely to happen over the next week or so. But I would be keeping an eye on this. And this is, again, there is nothing bearish about that signal. That's very, very bullish when that happens. So, you know, again, why I forgot to mention this earlier. That was like the first thing I wanted to talk about was that. But why I'm not like overly concerned about this. When we got our bearish TK cross, we never gotten cloud, right? We did for a very brief amount of time, but we got it didn't remotely come close to closing inside a cloud. Closing inside a cloud, different story, but that didn't happen. We got a quick stab, very strong buyback. Damn candle closed green. You know, like very, very, very strong response on that. So like in terms of you getting a bearish TK cross, trend is over. Like this is a really good counter signal to that. And again, if you had a close inside of this, different story. We would have been talking about lower levels. But did a really good job, bounced back, even ran this high, which again gives you a different trade that you could have taken. Came back to the EQ, and now again getting a decent response off of that. Bottom line is like this range is holding up really well. You get your bullish TK recross, which it seems really likely that this is going to happen officially, which has not happened yet, but it's very likely to. Again, that's a very, very bullish signal. So pray to bull Jesus, do whatever you got to do. If you want this thing to go higher, break out of this, break above this trend line. Like this is very likely gonna be a really nice aid for that, I would say. And yeah, she's even resetting here a bit. You know, I don't love trend lines on oscillators and stuff, but I could, you know, who knows? We could see this kind of doesn't line up like kind of decently well. Like if you know, get a little bit more sideways here, and then you know, maybe we get another third touch and then it curls back up. Like this is actually aligning up beautifully with this. So I like to see that. Like, and again, I rarely draw trend lines on oscillators. Um, there's times where, you know, there's times where um it's really worth paying attention. Um so anyway, yeah, I do think you know, I would be paying a lot of attention to this signal because historically speaking, it's a good signal. When you see this happen at all, like this, very, very bullish, and it's the same. It's the same. Like when you're in a strong downtrend and you have the bearish TK recross below cloud, right? It's the same signal, just opposite, and those are really bad. Which like I'm pretty sure we had instances of that before. They usually tend to be bad, but this is this is one that doesn't happen that often. But yeah, keep an eye on it. My guess is maybe unless it makes a new high, then it'll start pulling itself up, obviously, which will look really good. But we'll see what it is after monthly close, Monday, something like that. Could be a nice signal. I'm glad I remembered to do that because that was the first thing I actually wanted to talk about. Any questions? Oh, fucking Trump coin. Don't even get me started with Trump coin. Oh my God. Where do you guys think I've been? Besides being sick. Oh man, the Melania coin, Trump coin. Dude. We so true story, like funny story. Not like that big of a deal. Take you'll have to chime in if you want. But we were watching both those very early. And I was like, it really was unfortunate. But I mean, we found Trump at like it was like 300 mil or something. It was really early, and I thought it was a full scam. And I was playing a Rainbow Six Siege. Like, well, um, Big Tig and JCZ's in here sometimes. So like, well, we're usually if I'm not in here, like we're in our chat probably like 10 hours a day sometimes. But I was busy, and like I wasn't ranked, and so I could hear them talking, and I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "Dude, you can see this Trump coin? Think it's real?" I'm like, "What?" And then it turns out like he tweeted it from his official, from his like account and all that. I'm like, "Dude, what is going on?" But anyway, they caught it like super early. I didn't. I thought it was a scam. I wasn't paying attention because I was playing video games. Probably I shouldn't have been. But yeah, I missed it. And but they found it very, very early. And then Melania, when that happened, we caught it. We actually, again, I was like, dude, is this a scam? Like everybody's gonna be trying to copy that, right? But we knew, it couldn't be that far fetched. We actually got in that one pretty early, and then sold damn near the high. We're like, dude, we need to get out of this thing. This is a joke. Still damn near the high. I haven't looked at it since, but I mean, it came down significantly. Like, it came down. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how. I guess crime's legal now. I don't know, but it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, we've been in the soul trenches for sure. Anyway, let's see here. Are there any questions or anything like that? Little side story. I just saw Trump coins. Like, oh my god, yeah, dude. With. So this is the Coinbase chart. So apparently, when something gets listed on Coinbase, this is what happens to it afterward. Okay. What do you got, Tig? Nothing? What's wrong with you?
Shit, was I hot mic?
No, I thought you unmuted because you were gonna say something because I was talking about you and all that. We were talking about Trump coin and Melania coin, like what we've been doing over the last few weeks. And
yeah, I thought a good one to maybe look at would be Fart Coin. Because that thing is...
Yeah, I made a joke earlier, like I'm gonna look at it. Yeah, I agree. I am long Fart coin. But I'll look at that after Whiff. So this let's see here. So this level right here. So this being the low back from August 24th. I didn't have an alert on here on this level. Because I've never traded Whiff before. I there's a chance that I could have traded it really early, but it would have. I don't think that was the case. But I had noticed that this level got ran here, and it was basically the low. So you have this crazy. You can call it a range. Kind of looks like Litecoin. Doesn't it look like Litecoin to a degree? Kind of like has equal highs. Shit is like almost identical to that. But anyway, coming back down to like a very significant level and actually running it. And I had seen that it got ran. So I immediately bought. And I was trying to form a plan of like, because I don't necessarily know if the low is in. But for me, the reason why I'm long Whiff right now is the risk reward is too good for me. Kind of looking at this formation as well, it's very directional. Again, like this is very directional. This is almost like extremely one way, right? I like to see that when you come into major lows, run major low. That's just something I have to long. Like, you know what I mean? When you SFP something like that, I have to take that trade. And I don't think it's asking too much to give you at least a mean reversion, right? Like a mean reversion back to like 250. I don't think that's asking much at all. But kind of like seeing where things are, this major low getting ran, like there's a chance that this thing could actually have a really significant rally. Now, does it come from here? That's the part that I'm like not completely sold on, and I'm not been out of shape about it, because I wouldn't mind actually if they spent a little bit of time here. I'd be okay with that. Building a base, something like this. You got your quick stab down, and then you see kind of how it builds a base, and then gives you your nice move. I would love, and you can see I have this daily marked off here. And the reason why I have this daily marked off is because I'm trying to look for somewhere along this pump, trying to find some level that makes sense to me, where I could use as kind of like a base. Like where if this isn't the low, where do I see another bounce potentially incoming? And really, that's probably the first level that I see that makes the most sense. That you really wouldn't expect it to go too much below if it's going to have a really significant move, right? Because if not, then I'm kind of looking at like this prior high, which is like, it's a lot lower than we are. And I really, probably don't want to see that. I don't think it's that likely. But I do really like this setup quite a bit. I am long with. I'm playing it a little differently though. And I'll be open with you about how I'm playing this. I didn't get the full fill that I wanted. And this thing moved extremely quick. This moved extremely fast. I'm like, here. This is what I mean. It was very quick. And I mean, shit. Like, look at this. This is why I love. See if I can even get at the bottom. I mean, 40% price, almost just straight up, right? I didn't get quite the fill that I wanted on this, and I wouldn't mind if it actually came back down. Could be wishful thinking, probably is wishful thinking, but I wouldn't mind that. Again, at least like some kind of range base that gets put in for a little bit before a bigger move. That's just kind of what my thoughts are. Same thing here. Although you see quick stab down, the base it built was actually higher. So maybe it's building a base here before it has a nice move. Either way, I'd be happy with that. But right now with this initial position that I have, I'm actually, it's in the LP. I'm actually put it in an LP, and I'm letting it, I have the LP all the way up to like, I think it's like 240. What is it? Actually on my other screen. Let me look real quick. With 250. 240, it's like 249.7, something like that. Right here. So somewhere like around here. So as long as it's oscillating in this region, and the way that I have it set up, I'm benefiting for price appreciation. But as long as it's doing anything of any sorts around here, I'm getting paid fees. So to me, it's a win-win. This is a little, I've actually been doing a lot of LPing this year, a lot, liquidity providing, more than I ever have. And I think this actually is going to be like a big part of what I do this year, kind of on the side. But I have this position in an LP up to literally about this level. If it goes above that, then I won't, I'll be fully out of with. But what I'm kind of hoping for is to have both, essentially. Like I wouldn't mind, I would say it's a bit early to call a bottom. I love the sweep of the low here a lot, though. It already gave you a 40% bounce off of that. So a pullback off of a 40% rip is like just straight vertical rip. It's not unheard of, right? We'll kind of see what happens from here. But I am kind of keeping an eye on this one because I do like it. quite a bit. And I do think that, again, it wouldn't be asking too much, which like part of the reason why I wanted to do that, I have to use Ali, is that your EQ is right here, right? And I don't expect it to snap back up there immediately, but it could. I wouldn't complain if it did. I expect it to probably put in a bit more of like a bottoming formation first. This is like the first, your SFP, kind of like the first step. Maybe it builds a little bit of a base for a while before trying higher levels. That would be fine. But also kind of part of the reason, I put it in an LP. I just wanted to see kind of how it does. So far, really good. No complaints. And if it manages to kind of work its way lower, I see how like I have this level marked off. I'm watching that. I'm kind of like looking for a place to build a whiff, like a whiff position. If it goes a bit lower, I'd be okay with that. Wouldn't be the end of the world. But yeah, this is why I love alts too, though. I mean, 40% rip in one day is crazy, right? That's really good. But yeah, you can kind of see like how it's lining up, and we have a really good February. Monthly close comes in, you get the confirmation, we start to break above trend line. Think about it, okay? Dominoes fall into place. All of a sudden February looks pretty damn good. My guess is a lot of things are going to benefit in February. I think February could be a really good month. If that happens, you get here, bullish ticket recross above cloud, you get, say we make a new high, Bitcoin starts to, push above the trend line. And then it's kind of like the window from now until early March is like that, like early March 10th or whatever the date is like, that is a date I'll be watching super closely no matter what the hell happens. But like, it would be cool if we had a really good time up until that point, at least, right? I'd be okay with that. So anyway, that's WIF. Does anybody have any questions? It's first time I've covered WIF, I'm pretty sure. But I really like the, again, running this major low. Wouldn't be the worst thing if it kind of like builds a bit of a base here, but I do think that WIF is like, I think WIF looks pretty good. Honestly, it looks like pretty damn good for some upside. So we'll see. No questions? Now we're gonna go down to like a new low of content. No, I'm just kidding. So has anybody here been trading Fartcoin besides? I know Tig's been trading Fartcoin a lot. I finally gave in. I gave in and started trading it because it moves so much and it's painful to watch it. It's painful to like be on the sidelines and just watch this thing do what it's doing. And I mean, I didn't even get like the best fill on this and I'm up huge. Like, it's stupid. But anyway. So this is Fartcoin. Go out to a daily. And couple areas of interest. This anchored VWAP was extremely powerful, extremely good, up until kind of like this extended. I would say it basically broke it, but now it's back above. Even kind of came down again. I would still keep an eye on this, but like this was a really good level to watch. And then you have one off of the high that I am keeping an eye on right now. Yeah, I mean, this is so ridiculous, but it keeps holding structure. Every time that you think that this thing is like, the scam's over, finally, get rid of it, it just doesn't go away. Now I will tell you, you guys have all been in here. You guys have been trading this market for long enough. We all know what the hell's going to happen to this thing at some point, right? We know what's going to happen to this thing. And this was a pretty good candidate. You know, you get a big wick to the upside, big blow off top kind of looking. You got a serious nuke. And keep in mind, these are daily candles, right? Like, sure, I really use this one. So it went down 72% in 9 days. It had an entire bear market in 9 days. Like how crazy these things move, right? Up, down, massive up, fully retraces the entire pump. But again, it's looking pretty good here. And again, this base slightly higher low. Like every base so far has been pretty good. This one got a little bit lower, but really, but structurally, like this is really the low that I would be looking at because this was actually looks slightly below this. So when it made a new high, it didn't take this low out. Made another crazy high, didn't even run this low. Like this kind of keeps working its way higher. I wouldn't be surprised if this made another new high. As stupid as it is, I wouldn't be that surprised. But I think if there's any candidate right now in existence that has good liquidity, that is somewhat accessible, this is probably it. Like for trading, if you want to trade, if you want to scalp hardcoin, and I'm being 100% serious on that. Like the movement is incredible. Like you should be trading this if you're up to the task. Like if you want to trade something that fucking moves, this is it. Like, this is just vicious though. Like look at this. Look at these moves. So this is kind of like a trend line that I am watching. We're a ways away from it, but I mean, shit, this thing could be here this afternoon. We could be at 98 cents. Like who the hell knows? But this is kind of a like, this is, I'm not basing too much off of this, but I would be, see where that comes into play if it does. But I was looking at this move. Yeah, a long time ago. Almost hit the 2. So the thing that I don't like, so drilling down a little bit on this is, I mean, you're getting close to the anchored VWAP from the high. I should change the color so that it's less confusing. There. And I mean, not perfect early on. Make sure this is pulling from where I want it to. Probably it should be, yeah. But as like price gets away from it, it's been really good. So like after you get out of kind of like this initial range that was put in here, which I mean, this range alone is freaking crazy. Like look at this. So you just kind of go from the bottom. I mean, it's like 23. Like you look at like these oscillations are insane, right? Well, once starts to drift lower, high, 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 gets a little bit above, but fails, right? This is a really interesting level to watch. And we're almost to it. And I mean, this one was barely recently ran the high of this big nuke. So there's a lot of downward pressure. And coming off of this low, even, it's still like you can kind of see how you have like these series of like lower highs, right? So like even this, it's a big jump, but it's still not really taking out any significant highs, arguably. I mean, when you get down here, sure, but I mean, just kind of like looking at this. And again, anchored VWAP coming in a bit higher. What would be a good sign of strength is reclaiming this anchored VWAP off the high. That would be one level that I would watch. If we show strength above it, this would be kind of like the first, I would say like first really good sign of strength. And this is established enough now, and you've seen like, you know, the last several times that it's like it was respected this level really well. I think it's worth watching. So who knows, like maybe we get something like this where like, you know, this works its way up into where the anchored VWAP could be, you know, so maybe it's kind of still like working its way down. What the hell just happened? But you know, something like that, and then maybe it makes a little another high, then maybe it comes down again. Give you another some kind of setup like that. I don't know. But I would be watching this anchored VWAP. Reclaim that, shows, you know, that would be a good sign of
We can
strength.
hear you.
Uh-oh. Is that what happened? Can you hear me now? Just got rugged, didn't I? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh my god, got rugged. Let me check on my stream. Okay, I think my stream is back. All right. That was just when my thing refreshed, I think. So anyway, I was talking about the anchored VWAP, really well respected. Once price started drifting lower again, last, you know, few times that it came up to test it, this one got a little bit above and then failed, and you see what happened after that, just massive nuke. I do think that this level is important. And so maybe I would watch for a test somewhere around here. You see any sign of weakness, low time frame could be a really nice short. Or at least maybe it gives another opportunity to get long, something like that. Not a bad area to take a little bit off though. Like if you are long from lower, not a bad area. But yeah, get above this. Who the hell knows? Does this thing have another high in it? Maybe. I'm gonna be asking too much. That's how ridiculous things are. But yeah, I mean, I would not. If somebody said, "Hey, by the way, like Fartcoin's going to $3," I'd say, yeah, probably. I mean, like it wouldn't surprise me that much. But here, from this posture, nice response coming down off of, you know, coming like basically didn't even quite hit this daily. So this is, or did you? I don't think you did. Did you? Oh, you did. My trend line was in the way. So yeah, so this is a nice bounce off of the daily. That's right. Put that there before I forget, but it did. It did actually perfectly tap the daily. Nice response. So yeah, I don't know. Really good reaction off of the daily. Looks pretty good, but you have another daily down here. So seeing kind of how deep these retracements get over and over again, you know, you do have an untapped daily that formed here now. Might not be a bad level to keep on your chart. You do have one to the upside. Kind of close to. So how does this look on lower time frames? There's one up here too. Okay, so right now, yeah. So these are the old, yeah, these are the old extensions. Wow. Okay. So right now, anchored VWAP right on the daily. Really good confluence. Really good area. If you are long from lower, which I am, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Tig is long from lower. This is a really good area to be careful. Get above this would be a nice sign of strength. But not a bad area to take some off the table. Otherwise, yeah, it looks pretty good. But yeah, this is crazy, man. I'm telling you though. Trade Fartcoin. You want action? Do it. I'll give you. Yeah. It's a wild one. But like, I'll be honest. That's one that like, if I have like a massive position in it, I'd be a little scared to go to sleep. You wake up, damn thing could be down 40%, 50%, wouldn't even be a problem. You know, it's like, oh my God. It's yeah. Anything else you guys want to look at? My voice is starting to get wrecked again, but I have a little bit more. I'll probably do one more if you want. Really glad I sold my blast airdrop. I am glad of. Got a little blast stimmy from that last airdrop. Happened like what? A couple days ago? Week ago? It's kind of this is a prize airdrop.
I got one I've been looking at.
Is it on TradingView or is this something I'm gonna have to go search Dexter?
It should be on there. But I've noticed it's been like weirdly strong, and it's Monero.
Ooh.
You notice that?
No, I don't even know if I have it on here.
Like, I mean, and these big kind of like last couple weeks where we had big down moves, it like was like that one and Litecoin were like two of the stronger like alts that were like green on some like really, really bad days.
All right, now the question is, which chart do I use? Because it got delisted, I think. Wasn't it? I'm trying to remember. The chart I was using, it got delisted on. Kraken. I know Poloniex probably has a good. I can use this, but it doesn't let me use volume on here. That bothers me. Yeah, so that's good history. About this, Poloniex. Maybe I'll use Kraken. I'm actually trying to open a Kraken account right now. A Kraken business account. And those bastards are taking a long time. No, I'm just kidding. I probably shouldn't say that because maybe they'll watch this video. I don't know. There's a chance, I guess. Because I had to like submit like what why I wanted a business account with them. But like funny enough, they're I mean the reason why there's like delays is because I think there's a lot of people actually switching to Kraken from Coinbase. Like I think there's a decent amount of people who are leaving Coinbase because of their support. Thankfully, I haven't had any issues with Coinbase. But I'm seeing that if I that there are people that are having pretty significant issues with them in terms of being able to move their funds around. And I don't like that. I don't like hearing that. I don't like seeing that. And it's people who have like good reputations too. They're not just random people. Like they're saying it, I believe them. But like they're getting their accounts frozen for like weeks and months at a time, apparently. And for no reason at all. And then so they reach out to try to resolve the issue. And like they're just not, for whatever reason, they're like not getting anywhere. So not a good conversation to have. I'd be pretty pissed. And I know like Binance US, so going back to last cycle, like this happened with it even happened to me one time. But luckily I had a really good relationship with Binance US last cycle. And I mean there was a lot of the people on from my channel were using Binance US. So they, I had a direct line to somebody who could make things happen, and they actually froze my account once, and I made a phone call, and it was resolved very quickly. But I like the thing is, a lot of people, like most people, don't have that, right? And they have to go through all the hoops and all that stuff, and it is a big pain. And it's something again that like it reminded me a little bit of that with Coinbase, and just concerning. It's like if you do keep, a decent amount of funds on an exchange and they freeze your account for whatever reason, like if you could just be trying to, I want to withdraw, some USDC to Sol or something, like I want to, and if they deem that to be for whatever reason, it like flags your account, freezes it, like, and you can't get anywhere for months. I don't know how. I'd be really pissed too. But so anyway, I guess there's maybe a little bit of a movement to shift over to Kraken. This is kind of like my Kraken plug, I guess. The thing is, I've only heard, truth be told, like I've only heard good things about Kraken. So I'm like willing to give it a shot. And Coinbase, if Coinbase ever hears this, do your job, like do better. Jesus, like take better care of your customers. That's one thing. Like I will agree, they've been lacking massively on that end, and I think it's because they don't have much competition. So it's like sometimes if you don't have enough competition, you get lazy and you don't feel like you have to work for your customers. That's just what it kind of feels like to me. Anyway, I don't know what the hell. Sorry about the side rant. I feel like I had to. It's just me again. It's like we've had a lot of discussions about what exchanges to use in the past, and I always try to keep you updated with like what I'm thinking, like what I'm actually doing. Anyway, what the hell was your question, Tink? About you were just saying that it looked good, right?
Monero
More strength. And yeah, I mean it does look pretty good. Big base. Barely made a new high last cycle, but it did make a new high. That's good to see. And Monero's all about privacy, right? I'm no expert by any means, but I mean, this is like OG. This thing's been around. Like this is definitely an OG. And it got a pretty bad rap recently. Recently meaning like the last few years. And I know it got delisted from some major exchanges because of the privacy, or I don't know. There was a big move about um felt like they were trying to cancel Monero basically, There was, I think it's probably around the same time of the tornado cash and all of that stuff. Um, Monero got a lot of not good attention. But I think, different environment now, and I think you're kind of seeing look at this, okay? Oh, interesting. So like this is kind of like post-election, right? I mean, I just move up. I mean, a lot of things are, but I think this one looks pretty decent. Looks decent. I mean, you're a ways away from down here, but I mean, there was a really nice base that got built up, so I can already see some really clean levels. If my damn thing would cooperate. Yeah, you have a really nice. So this would um oh, I mean, really, you have a very clean SR flip here. If you see that, support, 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 deviation below. God, what is this chart? This reminds me a lot of another alt. First one that comes to mind is like Atom for some reason. I don't know. This is like, it has like similar move last cycle. But again, like deviation and break above, nice move, and then it kind of like washes out a little bit. But resistance, resistance. I really like this resistance, resistance, resistance. Then now you get your flip. So I would say like a really like this green box right here. Two things. I think it's a really interesting buy zone. I think it gives you, if this does happen to kind of rotate back down here, I think this is a very good area to look at longs. You lose, which by the way, like the bottom of this box is the value area high of the range, so I like that for an invalidation. You lose this box, come back into this range, and then it's like you get potentially sucked back into this range, right? You know what I mean? So like you don't want to, like, that would be a really clean invalidation for myself. This is irrelevant because you're very far away from it, but holy shit, a sweep of this key level at 97 would be epic at some point in the future. I think you're very likely to get that at some point. I don't know when, but this would definitely be one. Actually, I'm gonna put it on here. If I could spell. So I just put an alert there at 97 because this low here didn't actually run this low. So you have slightly higher low, moves up. At some point, if this does come down here and sweep both of these, that's like, I love setups like that. And the thing is, like, that could happen like a long time from now. So I put an alert there because I'm definitely gonna forget about it. But yeah, and then I mean I just put this here, but this is just like a macro, kind of like a macro trend line, right? So you could, I mean, holy shit, that's like way in the future. But yeah, I do like this. There's a few things I like about it. I'm kind of curious what was to take it from here. What would you see? Probably gonna pull it. No, surprisingly, no. It's about the same. Oh, I actually like that pull too. Funny enough. Interesting. So your high is the same. Your low shifts down to this key level. So that's really interesting too. Um, 55, trying to find like historical kind of like regions. Slightly below. Good shelf there. The shelf still there. Yeah, just below it actually. So like, and why I'm looking at this too, by the way, I'm doing like a little bit of like volume analysis, like looking at the volume profile here. It's like if this low were to get ran, how deep would it get run? This, I look at it, not very. So I wouldn't expect a crazy wick through here actually. Like I think that it would be pretty shallow. Meaning, and like again, this is looking way ahead, but it's why that's relevant is like for me that adds to the confluence for myself of an SFP happening here and it being one that is valid. Or like one that I don't expect to go that deep, that's likely to be really extremely good risk reward. So just a guess, but very bullish. Really good. Last two stabs actually were just like retesting your Kijun here. Really good. Cleanly above cloud. Cloud's bullish. This is very good. Very good. So judging, like looking at this, I wouldn't really expect wouldn't really expect too much Yeah. Oh, looks good. First level 273, kind of like where their macro value area high is, and this previous high. I would wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a pullback over from that. Yeah, it's kind of like the first region I would look. You start to break above this, then you know, I'd be looking at like 350, somewhere around here in this golden pocket. Yeah. Oh no, it looks good. Do you have any like reasoning for this take? Like, what? Do you have any other thoughts behind it, or you just thought it looked good, like looked interesting?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it was one of those like OG tokens that's like, people are, kind of either they're not very active or they just are holding for the long term, and there's not like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how accessible is Monero? That's the thing. I don't know. Because like
It's definitely.
it's not on Coinbase, obviously. I think it was, right? They delisted it.
That was on Coinbase.
It was on Coinbase. Oh, was it? Did they delist it off Binance too? Because I didn't see Binance charts when I went to.
I'm not sure. They may have.
It's not
But,
like they're.
yeah.
Oh wait.
It used to be on like Bittrex.
Perps.
Like.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot easier. Yeah, so maybe, I mean, it's still okay, but it's not. I know it got delisted on
Maybe that's like a
Coinbase.
catalyst, is maybe getting back on.
I mean, and my guess is, with kind of the way things are, I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase relists this like imminently, right? Like, it's probably gets put back there. No, it looks good. The thing that I like about this is that you had a multi-year base, almost 2 years sideways. Nice range gets put. I mean, again, like multi-year base, and you're just really starting to break out and like accelerate away from this. This thing probably has more upside if I had to guess. Where's your support? Green box. I love that all day long. Like, that's a very key support. Um, I don't necessarily expect it to come back there, but if it did, I would probably buy that. Easily manage trade. That's why. Like, it's very clear where I think it's pretty clear where I'd be wrong. It already had its kind of, you saw like your Kijun was sitting in here, and it kind of already had its test. So like, I wouldn't necessarily expect, if it did come back down to like 185, I wouldn't necessarily expect the same kind of like movement like that. Again, it could be wrong, but that's just, I don't really expect it to come back down there, is kind of what I'm saying. But like, if it did, it'd be a nice area for a trade. I just don't really think it will.
Judging by the exchanges where all the volume is, like it's popular in Asia, because like KuCoin and HTX.
Yeah, well, they'll list anything.
Are like the biggest.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's where the volume is. I mean,
I think
it's on crack, and
I wouldn't be
the volume.
shocked if this thing gets back on Coinbase like pretty soon.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. But yeah,
And if they
overall,
list it, Binance.
everybody, it'll be like, I kind of surprised it's not already back on. But yeah, this looks okay. This looks good.
Whatever happened with Fluffy Pony, the creator, the dev or whatever? Is he in jail? He went to like, I know he got like some kind of tax issue or something. I can't remember what it was, but I think he was arrested at one point.
Yeah, I don't know all the
Yeah,
history about it.
probably should look that up just for fun.
But yeah, I think decent. Looks really decent, actually. A little late to the game to like long here, but I mean, if you got lower time frame pullback, try to get in a position, yeah. Otherwise, looks pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I even took XMR off of my list. Because it was getting delisted. I'm like, shit, I'm not, I can't even trade this damn thing anyway. It's useless to look at it. But my guess is they'll come back. Oh. But anyway, I think that's probably it. Should be back to normal streams from now on. Just voice took a bit of a beating there. Yeah. Anyway, monthly close. Look out for monthly close. So a couple of things. Monthly close. Tomorrow. Very important. And the bi-weekly close Sunday afternoon for me. But the bi-weekly close on Bitcoin. Is it Bitcoin? Litecoin. It's Litecoin. The bi-weekly close on Litecoin. Keep an eye on that. And in 3 days, we'll see what happens there. I think if my memory serves me right, close above 130, I think, would be really good. But we'll see. But anyway, if I see any of these other setups too, by the way, definitely share them. But yeah, guys, have a good weekend. I'll see you next week. Well, I'll be in chat,
Yeah.
but we'll stream again next week. Back to normal.
Bye.
Let's go.